A Black Texas high school student has been suspended for the second time over his hair. Suspension, because that has something to do with education. Darryl George has been suspended for more than 2 weeks because his lock hairstyle violates the Barbers Hill Independent School District dress and grooming code. That's according to his family. The code states that male students' hair will not extend at any time below the eyebrows or below the earlobes. Trying to figure what that has to do with calculus. Who cares? Ali Booker, an attorney representing the family, told CNN on Tuesday that school officials have asked George and his mother to meet to discuss the continued disciplinary action over his hairstyle violations. The family was previously told that the teen will be placed in a disciplinary alternative education program. It's an alternative school for kids who, I guess, continue to act out or can't keep up or whatever reasons they dump folks into places that they never want to see them again. They said he'd do that if he didn't cut his hair. So more threats. That's what school's supposed to be, threatening for kids to go to. Darryl George and his mother, Darisha, talked about this on CNN.
It is a part of who we are. I want them to change their policies. I want them to stop being discriminatory against Black and brown kids. Not just mine, but any other Black and brown kid. I'm trying to figure out how he's getting violated when y'all never seen his hair let down. How do y'all know it's below his eyebrows?
I don't give a hot damn if it's below his eyebrows. What does that have to do with calculus, history, that they always talk about? Our kids aren't learning in schools anymore because they're getting put in suspension for their hair. More details, because since they're talking all that, there's one other part. David Bloom, director of communications for the Barbers Hill Independent School District, who's suspending this kid, Darryl, so many times, said the district is unable to provide any comment with respect to disciplinary matters involving a student. Okay, change it up though. They're claiming that they're not in violation of the Crown Act. Maybe you're thinking about that part. That was just put into effect this week. This is what the Crown Act says. Stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. It's a law that prohibits race-based hair discrimination, which is the denial of employment and educational opportunities because of hair texture or protective hairstyles, including braids, locks, twists, or bantu knots. So, if you don't know anything about protective hairstyles or black hair or reasons for the styles, and many times which stretch many different reasons, there's this thing you can do. Effing learn about it. And when someone teaches you about it, you can change your policies because you're in violation of people's freedoms. We talk about freedoms of religions and freedoms to believe what you want. But as long as you're a certain person in this country, a certain group in this country, we can violate all that because who cares? That doesn't match up with me. That stuff is weird. My hair doesn't do that, so why yours here doing that? You have to conform to me. That's the process they go through. One last part here, Ray, before you jump in, because I looked deeper into this Insider article about this. And this is what else Darryl George is dealing with. He's been put in ISS, of course, it's in-school suspension. And this is what they look like when they're doing there. Darryl's sitting on a stool in a cubby is what she told Insider. That's what the conditions that he's in during school hours now. He's got to sit on the stool for 8 hours. His back hurting and he can't move. It's like prison. If I were to take my children, make my children sit on a stool for 8 hours, I would have an issue with CPS. She would. And that's what Ali Booker, an attorney for the family, said. And so that's also the next step, is that we're going to contact Child Protective Services because the conditions that he's in inside of that room are not proper. He doesn't even have a desk. And the school district said, well, the situations in there, people sit in separated areas. They didn't mention the stool, they didn't address the rest of the problems because it's probably true. It's punishment for being who you are. And for some reason, they don't want to change that, right?
Well, first, it's absolutely in violation of the Crown Act. Of course, the school is going to try to defend themselves, but this is textbook violating the spirit of the law. You are discriminating against a Black student because of his hairstyle, which is a protected hairstyle under the law. Second, there's no educational benefit to preventing boys from having hair that extends past their ears and their eyebrows. There is no educational justification. That is an insane and ridiculous standard to try to apply to students that curtails their freedom of expression. I think that should be challenged, for its legality. And then lastly, threatening to put him in one of those alternative schools. I used to be a teacher in alternative school briefly. They are terrible. They're underfunded, they're understaffed. A lot of the kids there are there for severe behavioral problems. Putting him in that school is essentially attempting to rid him of any genuine educational benefit he's going to glean from the rest of the time he has in school. And categorizing him in the same way that they categorize students who assault their teachers and their fellow classmates. You are criminalizing this young black boy for having black hair. That's it. That is it. And I'm glad the attention the story is getting, because so often this happens and these kids don't see any sort of justice. So I'm hoping the family does pursue their legal options in front of them, and that he's allowed to get the education that he absolutely deserves.
They will blame him for a lack of education or what they're not providing him anymore when they're completely in control. One more part here, though, because I really want to show the humanity of this kid, because for some reason they don't want to accept that. They also said Darryl's hair is spiritual. His hair is connected to his ancestors. His hair is a connection to God, is what his family was saying. Darryl's dad's hair, his stepdad's hair, and his brother's hair is woven into his own. So cutting it off is cutting him off from them too. Do they give a damn? One more. He's gonna keep fighting though, but it's tearing him down, is what his mom said. He's up every night. He has tears in his eyes every day. He's emotionally and physically drained behind this. So a 17-year-old kid has to fight an entire school district because of his hair. And then you don't have any thought process of how this affects him, how he's supposed to think that he's supposed to go forward with this. And if he does cut his hair, do you think he's much interested in your education and dealing with any one of you guys anymore? But you will blame him. Zero rights for people for being who they are in this land of the free. They don't give a damn if you're certain folks.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.